Things that you'll need will be your cushion, 2 blocks, and 1 ball or 2 balls if you have them. And we're going to focus primarily on the front of the hip and getting into the lower back as a main focus. And it should, in getting into those few areas, feel like it's opening up a lot of areas that are quite tense in the body generally. When we work with the tennis balls, what happens is we have this web of fascia all the way through the body. It's wrapped around everything inside of us. So when we tap into one area of the leg, for example, just by working this area, we're also going to create space along the front line of the body. Same thing on the back of the body. It's going to tap into the whole web of tissue along the back of the body. So it means that we don't have to work the entire skeleton and tissue groups to get the benefit of opening. But in our lower back, we have this diamond shape of fascia, okay? And it's called the thoracolumbar fascia, and lots of muscles connect into it, lots of connection points between upper and lower body. And when we don't move that often, this area can get really congested and tight. So what I want us to do, with the knowledge that lots of our hip muscles attach into this area, is mobilize it, okay? So it's a very thick, dense layer of fascia, so the balls are the easiest way for us to do that. So I'm going to get you in a moment to lie down, and what we're going to have is the balls placed along either side of the vertebrae of our spine. So this is the center of the spine. Further down the spine, they get wider, okay, the vertebrae. So we'll need to take the balls a little wider apart, and then further up, they can come in closer to the center of the body. We can work in close to the spine, or we can come all the way out to the side of the waist. Now, my preferred way of massaging this is to lie down on my forearms and place the balls underneath or just above my sacrum, okay? So just above the ilium, the bony part of your sacrum there. And then I'm just going to massage on my forearms back and forth the lower back area. And then once that starts to release, I like to go side to side and zigzag. Now the balls move out of the way, so you have to place them back into center again. So you can go up and down, you can zigzag a little bit up and down, or just go side to side, whatever it is that feels good once you get started. But let's just come down onto our back, come onto our forearms, grab a ball. If you've only got 1 ball, you'll just work with one side at a time and then move to the other. Okay, and then lift the bottom from the ground. It's a little more active than some of the shapes, but everything else is going to be very passive. And just slowly roll yourself back and forth. Now, some of you might actually find a spot where you can just lie in stillness, in which case lie down. And just notice how this feels. Notice if one side feels a little more congested or tight than the other, which is often the case when we tend to cross our legs in one direction more than the other, or carry our bags on one arm more than the other. These little imbalances of how we live our lives tend to get stored in the tissues, whether we realize it or not. And any time you find a tight spot, instead of being tempted to move away from the tight spot, move towards it. Release the tension and then move forward. Okay, so some of you might feel like you can move the balls a little higher up, which if that's the case, go ahead and do. Some of you might feel like you can go a little further down. Some of you might want to take the balls wider. And just notice how that feels. 3 more breaths. Now, when the 3rd breath is complete, you're just going to lift yourself up away from the balls, lie your back down, and then lie down onto the back of the body. Up to you whether you come into Shavasana with the legs, or maybe take the feet wide, rest the knees against each other. Some of you might want to massage the spine, so you can hug the knees into your chest and roll a little side to side, or maybe you'll windshield wipe the knees side to side. Maybe it'll feel good just to be still, so follow your instinct there. Using the breath as a single focus for the mind. 2 more breaths here. When the 2nd breath is complete, just Bring a bend into the knees if you need to, feet to the floor. Roll yourself to the left side of your body. And then slowly lift yourself up to a comfortable seat. Take your time. So we work our way down to kind of the psoas area. So I'm going to show you the shape, and then I'm going to show you what we're doing with the balls. And the shape is Sphinx pose, okay? So elbows roughly underneath our shoulders here. You're going to take the balls. If you can find your two sticky out bones here on the front of your hip, those are your ASIS, you're going to take the balls just to the inside of there. Okay, so it can be a really tense area. I talked about it earlier. So we're going to place the balls in there, and then we're going to rest down onto them. Okay, so it's going to look a little like this, and it's a little fiddly to get into. So you'll place one ball in there, another ball on the other side, and you're going to be in Sphinx. Now, we're not going to hold the balls there for long. Okay, not going to hold the balls there for long. And if you are on your cycle right now and this is a little too tender, just come into Sphinx without the balls, okay? Check it out and see what feels good. Chest is reaching forward, and let the gaze just be down. You can support the head with blocks if you want to, but we're going to set ourselves up for the shape properly in a moment. Legs are relaxed. Make sure the buttocks are relaxed as well. And this takes us into psoas territory. Make sure the jaw stays relaxed, tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Some of you might just gently rock a little from side to side if that feels good. And some of you might feel like there's quite a quick release where the balls are. So feel free to roll yourself a little further forward or back as you need to. And if it's too much for you to be in Sphinx with the arms, come into crocodile. Make a pillow with the arms instead for the head to rest on, and that might be sufficient in terms of where we're working with the balls. Okay, so choice is yours. 3 more breaths with the ball. 3 more breaths. And now when the 3 breaths are finished, just release one hand to release one ball, release the other hand to release the balls, and then choice is yours whether you stay in Sphinx pose here, or some of you might then take a block under each forearm, enabling you to come a little deeper into your back bend. And some of you might come all the way into seal pose on your hands with straight arms, okay? But wherever you are, I want you to stay relaxed through the belly, relaxed through the legs, relaxed through the heart, relaxed around the jaw and the neck. Slow things down. If it feels manageable for you here, the final minute, if you want to straighten your arms for seal pose, feel free to do that. Notice how it feels to breathe in through the whole of the front body. So we're stimulating kidney chi and stomach meridian line, both of which are linked into our fears and worries. And when we let go of fear and worry, we come to this place of calmness, presence, the ability to be in the moment without looking back or racing forward. 3 more breaths. And when the 3rd breath for you is complete, just moving any blocks or balls out of the way. And then lowering down onto your belly, either making a pillow with your arms at the top of the mat for the head to rest on, or bringing the arms alongside the body so that you can rest on one side of your head. And I want you to just shake the hips a little from side to side here. Little bit of release through the lower back. Jaw and neck nice and relaxed. 2 more breaths just in stillness now. And then when those 2 breaths are finished, just slowly bring the hands next to the chest, push the ground away as you come up to almost a tabletop position, and then just bring the bottom to the ground. Carry the legs out ahead of you here. And you'll want to grab each of your balls and have your cushion and your blocks handy now, within reach, okay? Have them within reach. And we're going to turn our attention just briefly to the back of the body now, okay? So we have these big juicy muscles that we call the hamstrings running down the back of the leg. We're going to be placing the ball right into the center, the belly of the bigger muscle here. And it's going to look a little bit like this. So we'll bring them up close towards the buttocks to begin with. We'll rest the weight of the legs onto them, and you can take them in the center, or if you feel like you need to move them out to the side or in a bit, you can. And what we're going to do is sit tall and then just lazily curl your way forward. Now, probably you won't go as far forward with the balls there, okay? So acknowledge that, and then grab your blocks either side of the legs, and perhaps you'll want to place a cushion on top, and then rest your arms onto the cushion. Some of you might be a bit higher still, so the cushion can rest between your feet. And then you can just rest your head into the cushion, your arms onto the block, okay? So go ahead and see what that feels like. And I want you to know it's just going to be a short hold with the ball here. And we're going to move the ball 2 more times. So even if it feels a little uncomfortable, stay with it. Unless, of course, it's painful. And just notice how it feels through the back of the body. Remember what I said about the fascia being connected all the way through the back line of the body. So when we tap into these little trigger points in the legs, we're releasing all the way from the sole of the foot up through to the back of the neck. Stimulating urinary bladder chi, which is linked into our nervous system health, our hormonal health, our sense of balance internally. Two more breaths, and then you'll just very slowly move the balls an inch or so down the leg. Setting yourself up again as you come into that fold, noticing if you need your support in the same way or not. Knowing you can adjust blocks and cushions closer to your body, further away, different heights. And just seeing how this feels for you today. Notice how it feels in this position. Might feel lighter, might feel more intense. Breathing into the areas that are causing you any focus or discomfort. Noticing where you can soften, where you can relax. 2 more breaths with the ball where it is, and then you'll very slowly move the balls just a little further down once again. And again, just notice if the props are serving you in the right way. Once you make these little adjustments, you might sit up higher, you might need to go further into the fold. Breath stays slow and relaxed. Two more breaths with the balls. And when you finish the 2 breaths, just release the balls completely to the side. And 1 final minute folding forward here. So you might readjust your blocks. You might find a little more depth in your fold. You might need to sit higher, however you need to be. And then settle into stillness as soon as you're able to. Feeling the full benefit of the work that we've just been doing now in this final minute here. Three more breaths. And when the third breath is complete, just slowly start to roll yourself up away from your position. Place your props to the side. Catch your balls and just slowly lie yourself down onto your backs. Just for a moment. We're going to be here for 5 breaths. And just as if you were in Shavasana, let the whole of the back line of the body melt down to the ground. And just notice how that feels. Notice how there are feelings of ease, of release. Maybe even a little warmth or tingling in certain parts of the leg or lower back, maybe even all the way up to the neck. One more breath. And then just gently bend your knees, roll to your side, and just lift yourself comfortably up to a seat here. Don't get too fixed in your position. Just take your time to come upright so that you can see what's going on. So this is going to be similar to where we were before, but at the same time different. So one ball only, no props. And my starting position again is Sphinx, but we're not going to necessarily stay there. Now on the front of the leg, if I show you on the side, we have the quads, okay? So 4 muscles, 4-headed muscle, 4 muscles that combine into a tendon that attaches into either side of the knee here. And we're going to place the balls working our way down the thigh, so starting up close to the groin here. And it's going to look a bit like this. And I'm going to do one leg at a time because it's pretty intense for myself anyway, for most of us. And it's going to make the hips feel a little off center, okay? So I like to be in Sphinx, but you could just as easily be lying down like this. So you'll choose. And then what you're going to do is bend the knee, heel to bottom, and just straighten the leg. And lifting really slowly. It's definitely not fast. And another option is, instead of bending the knee and straightening the leg, is just taking the leg or the foot from left to right, a little bit like a steering device on a boat, okay? So choice is yours. And remember, as I said, you can be lying with your head on the ground if the lower back feels like that's too much. So go ahead and place the ball under the front of one of your hips, your choice where you're starting. Come up close to the top of the leg. And just notice how that feels, bending the knee, straightening the leg. Maybe taking the leg from left to right, using the foot to steer. And as you feel release happening in the leg, feel free to adjust the ball to a new spot along the leg, even before I offer it. So if that feels good and necessary for you, go ahead and do that. Let the toes stay relaxed, the tongue is relaxed, and there are definitely going to be places that feel like they are testing your ability to stay calm and relaxed. And remember what I said before, don't move away from those areas, move towards them. Now let's move the ball a little further down if you didn't already, and choose the position that suits you best for your body. Final minute here. And whether you have been running or cycling and using this muscle a lot, or whether you have been sitting down and this muscle has got tight from sitting down, it's going to feel really, really valuable to work into. 3 more breaths. And when the third breath is complete, just slowly release the ball. Lower the right leg down, or the left if you were working with it, and just pause for a moment. Notice the difference in sensation between the two legs, the one that you've worked and the one that you haven't. Usually it feels quite different in my body. And then when you've noticed the differences of where you've been working into, slowly place the ball onto the second side, the side that you haven't worked yet, and bring it up towards the top of the leg. And we start from the beginning again now on the second side, finding the position with our arms and upper body that suits us. And then bending the knee, straightening the leg, relaxing outer hip muscles where we can, relaxing the jaw, and just taking time. This is a really tight part of the body for you, and for some of us it really will be. Let your breath slow down. Let the breath help you to tell the nervous system you're okay, the brain that you're okay. Our muscle tone is governed by the nervous system, not by how much we stretch. So when we take time to settle the nervous system, we're going to ultimately find more space in the body, more ease within the tissues and the muscles. So a lot of this links into our state of mind. So know that you can choose your reactions. Slow down the breath. Choose to stay calm, grounded. Know that these sensations are temporary. And then as and when you feel space arriving in, let's move the ball a little further down and notice how that feels. Be aware that it might feel entirely different from side to side. Often we have a stronger side that we use more than the other. And sometimes that shows itself up. Relax the jaw. Relax the tongue, the fingers, the toes. Notice how you're doing in the mind and the body. 3 more breaths here. And when the third breath is complete, just pause, release the ball. Lie yourself down onto your belly, make a pillow with your arms, or rest on one side of the head, arms alongside the body, and just be still. Notice how that feels. And when you finish the breath that you're working with, bring the hands next to the chest, push the ground away, and just lift yourself up to sit on your shins for a moment. Okay? Now, just place the ball nearby the top of the mat so that you can easily reach it. Cushion to the side, we won't need the cushion. And you're going to take your blocks onto the third height. Okay, we're going to come into up dragon together. So I'm going to take my right leg forward, left leg back. Okay, and we're starting high from the ground here with the blocks quite close into our body. Now you've got the option with the ball to place it under your right foot so that you're massaging into the back line of the tissues of the body here as well. And if that's too much because it's enough through the front of the left hip, remove the ball. Okay, so choice is yours. So we're going to start high for the first minute and then I'll work us further down. So blocks next to the hips, sitting tall. And as you feel the fascia through the front of the left hip working, And that's possibly the side you've just been working in. You might feel like you can go a little further down, so in which case you'll turn the blocks down a height. But I want the chest to kind of still be almost leaning forward, so we're awakening front body here. And yet by using the ball under the right foot, we're awakening through the back of the body. So we're working into stomach meridian line, but also stimulating kidney and urinary bladder. So balancing out our hormones, balancing out our energy, releasing our fear, releasing our worries, creating physical space in the front of the body, an area that gets tight from all of the sitting that we do. 3 more breaths here. Now, some of you might stay upright. Some of you will lean forward, release the ball. Move the right foot out a little to the edge. And now take your blocks forward on the inside of your leg. And potentially, as you lean forward, you might come onto forearms on your blocks. Some of you might roll onto the outside edge of right foot here. Okay, knee drawing out. And some of you might even place your blocks down on the first height and take your cushion to rest on top and lower all the way down to the cushion. Okay, stranger things have happened, so keep an open mind about what space you might have. Remember, nothing is forced here. And some of us may stay on our hands, which is valid as well. Slow down the breath. And notice where you're feeling sensation and how you're feeling. Fingers relaxed, jaw relaxed, tongue relaxed. Three more breaths here. Now, when you finish the third breath, just slowly work your way back up to your hands. Draw your left hip back and step the right leg back next to the left and just lower down into child's pose. And what you can do is rest a ball under the center of your forehead, arms reaching towards your toes, or just rest the forehead to the ground. And if you've got the ball there, some of you might massage from side to side through the forehead or little circles around the center of the forehead. And again, some of you might just have the head on the ground here. Three more breaths here. And then when the third breath is finished, just slowly lift the head, walk the fingers forwards. And let's use the hands to push the ground away. We're going to make our way to the second side now. So bringing the blocks onto the third height here. And this time, remember, left leg comes forward. So adjust your right leg back, cushioning for the knee if you need it on this side. Blocks in close to your body. And ball is optional, remember, to place under left foot. Pushing down into the blocks. The heart is lifting forward. The ball is kind of under the arch of your foot here if you're using it. And just let the tissues around the front of right hip start to soften and melt. As you find space arriving in, just turning the blocks down a little if you need to. Relax the belly. Causes us lots of problems in the pelvic floor and lower back area when it's constantly engaged. 3 more breaths here. And when the third breath is complete, just leaning forward, releasing the ball. Moving the left foot over a little to the side of the mat, and then blocks come now forward and to the inside of left foot. And some of us are going to come forward onto forearms. Some of us are going to come onto the outside of left foot, knee drawing out. And some of us will stay on hands. Some of us will make a little pillow resting on top of blocks on the first height for our body to rest onto. And some of us, that won't be part of the practice today. So really tune in. What is it that your body needs? And know that this is a process of unraveling, a process of unfolding. And our only job is to surrender to the space that the body allows us without forcing. Let the fingers be relaxed. Make sure there's no white knuckles, no gripping around the jaw. Tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Belly is soft and relaxed. Breath is guiding down deep. Lungs expanding as we breathe in. Effort and tension melting away as we breathe out. 3 more breaths. And when the third breath is complete, let's slowly lower left foot to the ground, make our way up to our hands, draw the right hip back above the knee, and then step left foot back, coming down into child's pose. Option, remember to place the ball under the center of your forehead, fingers towards toes, unless that doesn't feel good for you. Fingers forwards if you need. Forehead to the ground or resting on a ball. And if you have the ball, you can be still or just rolling side to side, massaging through the tissues here. Last breath here. And just gently lifting your head away from the ball or ground and coming up to a seat, and then just bring the feet to the ground, bottom to the ground, and just move yourself forward. Now move the blocks to the side. Setting ourselves up for Shavasana. So we're going to grab our bolster behind our knees. Everything else out of the way here. And then just lie yourself down onto your back. Scooping the buttocks under a little, finding a little length in the lower back, cushion helping to support that. Arms out wide. Closing your eyes as you surrender into this place of stillness here. Taking up as much space as your body needs. Shoulders relaxing down, back line of the body melting into the earth. Closing our eyes when we feel ready. As we bring ourselves into this place of stillness, calmness, and simply surrendering to the act of being. Bringing just the smallest little movements and wiggles to the fingers and the toes. And beginning to reach the arms all the way up overhead. Full body stretch. And from here, drawing the knees in towards your chest, giving them a hug, and then gently rolling over to whichever side feels best for you today. Keeping your eyes closed as you use your hands to push the ground away. Lifting you up to a comfortable seat. Just noticing how the body feels. broader, taller, more spacious, more free. And let's bring our hands to heart center. Bowing our head to our hands in gratitude for the spaciousness, in gratitude for our health, in gratitude for the practice today. Namaste.